Hey everyone, this is Six Path Weeb. Welcome back to the channel, where we dive into bold ideas and reimagine the stories we love. Today's fanfic takes a powerful turn with a question that could shake the very tides of the shinobi world. What if Naruko challenged the throne of the seas? Get ready for a journey filled with ambition, conflict, and a rise that no one saw coming. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, let's begin. The cool night air of Konoha began to settle as the golden glow of dawn peeked over the great stone faces. In the quiet aftermath of the great storm, a small, soft bundle lay tucked safely within a basket of warm blankets near the edge of the forest. This was Naruko, the fourth child of the Uzumaki family, who had been momentarily separated from her siblings during the chaotic events of the evening. While her brothers were being heralded as the village's shining stars, Naruko was discovered by a kind, elderly gardener named Tucci. He found her not with a cry, but with a curious, sun-drenched smile and bright blue eyes that seemed to reflect the morning sky. A hidden treasure of the leaf. Because of the confusion during the sealing, Naruko grew up away from the bustling Hokage estate. She lived a simple, happy life in a small cottage filled with the scent of fresh flower and honey. Tucci and his daughter, Ayame, raised her with boundless love, teaching her that the greatest strength didn't come from flashy jutsu, but from a kind heart and a helping hand. Naruko was a whirlwind of joy. She possessed a unique imagination. Where others saw a simple wooden fence, she saw a grand castle wall to be decorated with ribbons. Her laughter was said to be so infectious that even the grumpiest shopkeepers in the market couldn't help but crack a smile when she skipped past. The power of kindness. As Naruko grew, she developed a peculiar talent. While her siblings were busy training with heavy scrolls and wooden swords, Naruko spent her time learning the art of heart mending. If a sparrow fell from a nest, she was there to build it a tiny ladder. If a classmate felt lonely, she was there with a warm bowl of soup and a funny story. She didn't know she was the daughter of the Hokage, and she didn't know about the great fox. To her, she was just Naruko, a girl who loved the color orange because it looked like a sunset and who believed that every person in Konoha was a potential best friend. An unexpected reunion. One bright afternoon, Naruko was sitting by a stream, carefully folding paper boats to send messages of hope down the water. A tall man with golden hair, looking tired and burdened by the weight of leading a village, happened to stop by the water's edge to rest. It was Minato. He watched the young girl for a long time, struck by a familiar warmth in her eyes. When Naruko noticed him, she didn't bow in fear or ask for a favor. Instead, she handed him her favorite paper boat. "Greater than you look like you've had a very long day, mister," she said softly. "This boat carries a wish for a peaceful nap and a tasty snack. I think you need it more than the river does. Greater than." In that moment, the pain and suffering Minato had feared vanished. He realized that while he had been focused on protecting the village's power, he had nearly missed the village's true spirit. Naruko wasn't a hero because of a seal or a title, she was a hero because she chose to be kind in a world that was sometimes loud and scary. Minato knelt down, tears of relief and joy pricking his eyes, and finally welcomed his daughter home. From that day forward, the history of Konoha wasn't just about the night the fox was stopped, it was about the girl who taught an entire village how to smile again. Minato set his newspaper down gently, his expression softening but remaining firm. "Naruko, we have discussed this before. Your siblings have a very unique and difficult energy within them that they must learn to balance for everyone's safety. It requires our constant, undivided attention right now." Kushina walked over from the sink, drying her hands on her apron. She knelt down so she was eye level with the young girl. "It is not that we do not want to teach you, Naruko. But you are so naturally gifted and steady. You do not have the same hurdles they do. Right now, your job is to be the responsible older sister and focus on your studies at home." Naruko felt a familiar sting in her chest, but she kept her face calm, her gray eyes reflecting the morning light. "I understand, Ka-san," she said softly, though the word studies felt heavy. She had already read every scroll in the lower library. "Good girl," Minato said, reaching over to pat her head before standing up. "Come on, everyone. We have a big day of practice ahead." The three younger siblings cheered, racing toward the door with bursts of energetic laughter. Naruko watched them go, standing alone in the quiet kitchen. She didn't feel like a good girl, she felt like a bird watching others learn to fly while her own wings were tucked away for safekeeping. She waited until the front gate clicked shut and the house fell into a deep, echoing silence. This was her time. Naruko didn't head for the library today. Instead, she went to her room and changed into her favorite orange and white training outfit. She tied her blonde hair back securely, her jaw-length bangs framing a face full of quiet determination. If her parents wouldn't guide her, she would find her own path. She had the spirit of the whirlpool and the will of fire, and she wouldn't let them flicker out. Moving with a grace that surpassed her years, Naruko slipped out of the house and headed toward a hidden clearing she had found near the edge of the forest. It was a beautiful spot, carpeted in soft emerald moss and surrounded by ancient, whispering oaks. A small, sparkling stream ran through the center, the water humming a peaceful tune. She reached into her pouch and pulled out a single practice kunai. Leaf concentration was easy, she whispered to herself. And the clones are steady. Today, I try something new. She recalled a scroll she had seen in her father's study about the flow of energy. She closed her eyes, breathing in the scent of pine and damp earth. She didn't have the roaring, turbulent energy of her siblings, hers was like the stream in front of her, clear, cool, and precise. She began to move, performing a series of stretches and forms she had memorized by watching the older shinobi in the village square. Every movement was fluid. She imagined she was dancing with the wind, her small feet barely denting the moss. As she practiced, a small forest rabbit hopped out from the bushes, twitching its nose curiously. Naruko stopped and smiled, her cold gray eyes warming with a sudden spark of joy. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small piece of carrot she had saved from breakfast, holding it out to Cockley. I'm training to be a protector, she told the rabbit in a gentle voice. One day, I'll be a shinobi who looks out for everyone, even the smallest friends in the forest. The rabbit nibbled the carrot, and for a moment, Naruko didn't feel lonely at all. She realized that while her siblings were learning power, she was learning something else, patience, kindness, and self-reliance. She spent the afternoon practicing her aim, her kunai thudding softly and accurately into a wooden post she had set up. By the time the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold, Naruko was tired but glowing with a sense of accomplishment. She headed back to the estate, slipping inside just as the rest of her family returned, exhausted and dusty from their lessons. Naruko, did you finish your reading? Kushina asked, ruffling the young girl's hair as she passed by. Yes, Ka-san, Naruko replied with a bright, genuine smile. She didn't need to tell them about the clearing, the stream, or the rabbit. Those were her secrets, the foundation of the great kunoichi she was becoming. As she climbed the stairs to her room, Naruko looked out the window at the rising moon. She knew her journey would be different, and perhaps a bit harder, but she wouldn't have it any other way. She was Naruko Uzumaki Namikaze, and she was carving her own bright future, one sunset at a time. A new path for Naruko. Minato looked down at his daughter with a gentle but firm expression. Naruko, you know why we want to wait. If we start too early, you might not have the chance to just be a child. We want you to enjoy your time playing and making friends before the hard work of the academy begins. We already helped you find your inner spark a few weeks ago, and that is a wonderful start. Naruko felt a little huff of frustration rise up, her blonde pigtails bouncing as she shook her head. But that was 6 months ago, Papa. All the other children in the village are already practicing their balance and focus. I want to learn how to be helpful and strong too. Before Minato could respond, Kushina knelt down to match her daughter's height, offering a warm but serious look. We understand your excitement, sweetie, but there is plenty of time for that. At the academy, you will have the best teachers to show you how to move gracefully and focus your energy. For now, we want you to focus on being Naruko. But, Naruko started, her blue eyes wide with determination. No buts, little sunflower, Kushina said, her voice softening as she gave Naruko a small nudge toward the stairs. Your father wants what is best for your future, and right now, that means resting and being patient. Why don't you head up to your room and think about the fun things we can do as a family tomorrow? Naruko didn't argue further. She turned and walked quietly up the stairs, her mind whirling with thoughts. Her younger siblings watched her go, their eyes filled with a mix of wonder and quiet sympathy. Minato and Kushina watched her too, truly believing that by keeping her away from training, they were protecting her happiness and letting her stay young for just a little longer. The secret clearing. Later that afternoon, Naruko slipped quietly down the stairs. Her siblings were resting at the kitchen table, looking quite sleepy after their own light afternoon lessons. Kushina was busy humming a tune while making delicious sandwiches, her back to the door. Mom, I'm going over to visit Hana. Naruko called out softly as she reached for the door handle. Kushina blinked and looked toward the hallway. Oh? Was that Naruko? I could have sworn I heard a little breeze. She looked at her 3 sleepy children at the table and smiled, momentarily distracted by the task of lunch. I must be imagining things, she whispered to herself, returning to the counter. Naruko hurried through the village until she reached a beautiful, secluded clearing near the edge of the woods. It was a peaceful place, filled with tall, sturdy trees and the sweet scent of wildflowers. She loved it here because it was quiet and perfect for practicing the things she had read about in her father's library. I remember seeing the way people can walk right up a wooden surface by focusing their energy, Naruko whispered to herself. It's all about balance. Too much energy and I'll bounce off, too little and I won't stick. She picked up a small piece of chalk to mark her progress on the bark. With a deep breath and a look of pure focus, she began to run toward a large oak tree. A new friend. High above in the leafy branches, a young man named Shisui sat watching. He had wild, dark hair and wore the green vest of a village protector. He had been heading home from a long day of helping neighbors when he heard the rhythmic sound of Naruko's footsteps. Curious, he had climbed up to see who was working so hard. He watched in amazement as the young girl made it nearly halfway up the trunk on her very first day. Is that the Hokage's daughter? He murmured to himself. She has incredible focus. Suddenly, Naruko felt a shift in the air. Her senses were very sharp, and she felt as though someone was watching her. With a graceful tumble, she landed back on the grass and looked up into the trees. Who's there? She asked, her voice steady and brave. Shisui hopped down from the branch, landing lightly in front of her. He gave her a friendly smile. I didn't mean to startle you. I'm Shisui. I was just passing by and saw how hard you were practicing. You're Naruko, right? Naruko relaxed her shoulders but kept her eyes on him. I am. Are you here to tell my father I'm training? Shisui laughed softly, shaking his head. Not at all. I think it's wonderful to see someone so dedicated. But shouldn't you be learning this at the academy with the others? A small frown crossed Naruko's face. I'm not enrolled yet. My parents want me to wait a few more years. They say they want me to have a normal childhood, but I want to learn how to help people now. Shisui looked at her with newfound respect. He could see the bright spark of potential in her eyes. I understand. Sometimes the people who love us try to protect us so much they forget how strong we really are. Naruko looked up at him, surprised to find someone who finally understood how she felt. Before Shisui could offer a word of encouragement, Naruko raised her hand, sensing another presence nearby in the quiet woods. How does Naruko feel about her family's decision now that she has found a potential mentor in Shisui? The sun dipped low behind the great stone faces of the village, painting the sky in soft shades of apricot and lavender. Naruko sat on the grassy hill, her bright blue eyes reflecting the fading light. She took a deep breath, her long yellow pigtails swaying in the evening breeze as she finished telling Shisui about her journey. And that is how things have been so far, Naruko said softly. I spend my days out here because I want to find my own path. I don't want to just sit around while the world moves forward. I want to work hard and show everyone that I have a kind heart and a strong spirit. I want to prove that I can make a positive difference in this village. Shisui sat beside her, moved by her determination. He wiped a stray tear from his cheek, touched by the young girl's resilience and her desire to grow. Hey, don't start crying, Naruko said, her voice light and teasing. I didn't tell you all that just to make you sad. I told you because I want to be the best version of myself. Shisui chuckled warmly, shaking his head. I'm sorry, Naruko. It's just that your heart is so big. Honestly, our stories are a bit alike. How is that? She asked, tilting her head curiously. Shisui looked toward the horizon. You might have heard of a boy named Itachi. He is a brilliant student and a dear friend of mine. People often compare us, and sometimes it feels like I am standing in a very large shadow. I've had to work twice as hard to show people who I really am. I call it the power of perseverance. Naruko smiled, a genuine, glowing smile that reached her eyes. It was the first time in a long while she felt someone truly understood her dreams. From what I saw today, Naruko, I can tell you have a special kind of potential, Shisui said, his voice full of encouragement. You have the spark of a leader and the heart of a friend. Itachi has a younger sister about your age, and he is already helping her learn. I think it is time someone helped you, too. He stood up and held out a hand toward her, his expression kind and bright. What do you say, Naruko? Would you like to practice and learn together? Will you let me be your teacher? For a moment, Naruko was silent. The kindness in his voice was like a warm blanket on a chilly evening. She felt a surge of happiness and hope, knowing she wouldn't have to walk her path alone anymore. She reached out, took his hand, and nodded firmly. Yes, she whispered, her voice brimming with joy. I would love that, Shisui-sensei. 2.5 years had passed since Shisui had taken Naruko on as a student. The time had gone by in the blink of an eye, yet so many things had changed for her during those seasons of growth. One of the most significant changes was her commitment to her training. This was not the simple playtraining that Minato and Kushina had her siblings doing, nor was it the basic classes she had observed at the academy. Naruko was engaging in routines that required immense focus and heart. It was to be expected, as Shisui was one of the most talented and kind-hearted mentors in the village, standing alongside respected figures like Kakashi and Guy. A day in the life of Naruko. Naruko's daily routine was a testament to her dedication. 5 a.m., she woke up early, ate a nutritious breakfast, and met Shisui at the Uchiha district. Morning exercise, they would start with a brisk run around the village to build her stamina and enjoy the fresh morning air. Taijutsu practice, they would head to a quiet, sunny clearing to practice graceful movement and balance. Naruko possessed very special eyes. While they were not a magical lineage trait, she was born with a unique gift that granted her exceptional clarity and focus. Shisui called them the eyes of a hawk because she could track the flight of a butterfly or the movement of a falling leaf with perfect precision. Because of this gift, Shisui taught her a specialized style of movement that relied on agility and prediction, which Naruko mastered with natural grace. Rest and reflection. At lunchtime, they would pause to appreciate their hard work. Usually, they would visit a local shop that served fresh sushi, which had become Naruko's favorite meal. While many in the village loved ramen, Naruko found she preferred the light, colorful varieties of hand-rolled sushi. The afternoons were dedicated to the more imaginative arts. 1. Ninjutsu. Naruko loved learning how to move with the speed of the wind. Shisui taught her his signature body flicker technique, allowing her to move so quickly she seemed to vanish in a gentle blur of light. 2. Genjutsu. She found great joy in the art of illusions, not to cause trouble, but because of the limitless creativity involved. She loved the idea of creating beautiful, peaceful landscapes within the mind to help others feel calm and inspired. On days when Shisui was busy helping the village with important tasks, Naruko practiced her accuracy with training tools. Although she wasn't fond of using gear, she understood that precision was a vital skill for any protector of the village. She became so accurate that her aim was admired by many of the older students. Connections and friendships. The second big change in Naruko's life was how she viewed the world around her. In the past, she had been a bit shy and guarded. She often worried that people only wanted to talk to her because of her famous family. However, through her training, she began to find her own voice. Before meeting Shisui, she had made one very special friend, Hana Inuzuka. Hana was kind and understood what it felt like to be a bit quieter than the rest of her family. Since their younger brothers were friends, the two girls found a natural bond. They spent many afternoons exploring the village or playing with the friendly pack dogs at the Inuzuka home. While Naruko was still selective about who she shared her secrets with, her heart had softened. She was no longer just a girl standing in the shadows of her siblings, she was Naruko, a bright and determined student with a path all her own. How do you think Naruko's new confidence will change how she interacts with her siblings at the next family dinner? Flashback, 2 years ago. The Uchiha compound. Naruko and Shisui walked through the quiet, sun-dappled streets of the Uchiha district, heading toward the clan's grand library. The young girl, her golden hair tied back in practical pigtails, looked up at her mentor with a curious expression. "I know you're an Uchiha, Shisui-sensei, but I'm worried," Naruko admitted softly. "The library was built for your clan. I don't want to be an intruder. And being the daughter of the Hokage usually means people expect me to follow different rules." Shisui looked down and gave her a reassuring grin. "As one of the lead scouts for the village and a trusted member of my clan, I have the honor of choosing my own apprentice. It doesn't matter who your family is, Naruko, what matters is your dedication. Besides, you've been training so hard for the last 6 months. It's a beautiful day. If you don't stop to enjoy the sunshine and the breeze, you might miss the best parts of being young. Life is about more than just practice drills." Naruko paused, her blue eyes reflecting the bright sky. She took a deep breath, feeling the gentle wind on her face. "You know, I think you're right. I do feel a little tired. And honestly, I like it here. It's peaceful. No one is treating me like a princess or asking for favors. It just feels honest." Shisui beamed at her. "I'm glad you feel that way. I actually wanted you to meet some special people today. I know you're shy about making new friends, but it's important to have people you can count on." Naruko tucked a stray lock of hair behind her ear and sighed. "If you trust them, I'll try my best to be social." "That's the spirit." Shisui cheered. They entered the library, where the librarians greeted Shisui with respect. Naruko spent the afternoon tucked away in a cozy corner, fascinated by scrolls detailing the history of the Fire Country and the art of storytelling through illusions. Later, as they walked toward the heart of the compound, Shisui checked in on her. "By the way, how are things at home? Are you and your siblings getting along any better? Naruko's expression clouded slightly. It's still a bit lonely, sensei. My brother and sisters are so focused on their own lessons that they sometimes forget I'm there. It makes me feel like I'm invisible in my own house. Shisui patted her head kindly. Well, tonight you don't have to feel invisible. We're visiting the head of the clan's home. A new warmth. When they arrived, Shisui led Naruko inside a beautiful, traditional home. The air smelled of fresh tea and home-cooked soup. In the kitchen stood Mikoto, a woman with a kind smile and a gentle aura. In the living room sat a teenager named Itachi and his younger sister, Satsuki. Satsuki was about 6 years old, with long black hair and a very serious expression for someone so small. She was currently frowning at a difficult book. Hello, everyone. Shisui called out cheerfully. Shisui. Please use your indoor voice, Mikoto said with a laugh, stepping out of the kitchen. Her eyes immediately landed on the young girl standing behind him. And who is this lovely guest? This is my apprentice, Naruko, Shisui introduced her proudly. Itachi looked up, impressed. An apprentice? You've certainly found a bright one, Shisui. While the adults talked, Satsuki stood up and walked over to Naruko. She reached out and curiously touched Naruko's bright yellow hair. Naruko blinked, surprised by the younger girl's boldness, but she didn't pull away. Your hair is like a sunflower, Satsuki whispered in awe. Naruko smiled, her heart warming instantly. Thank you, Satsuki. Yours is as pretty as the night sky. Shisui laughed, seeing them get along. See? I told you she needed friends. Naruko has been feeling a bit lonely at home lately, so I thought she could use some Uchiha hospitality. As Naruko shared a little bit about her life, how she often felt overlooked at the Hokage's estate, Mikoto's expression softened into one of deep motherly compassion. She walked over and gently pulled Naruko into a warm, lingering hug. Sweetheart, you are always welcome here, Mikoto whispered. If you ever feel lonely, our doors are open. You can be part of our family circles whenever you like. Naruko felt a lump in her throat, but it wasn't a sad one. It was the feeling of belonging. She hugged Mikoto back tightly, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. Satsuki tugged on Naruko's sleeve, looking up with big, hopeful eyes. Does this mean I have a new big sister now? The room erupted into gentle laughter, and for the first time in years, Naruko felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Flashback end. The Uzumaki Namikaze compound. Naruko woke up in her sun-drenched room at the Uzumaki Namikaze estate. It was a peaceful morning, though the house often felt a bit quiet for her. Over the last 2.5 years, Naruko had spent most of her time at the Uchiha compound. She frequently enjoyed dinner there and would often have sleepovers with her best friend, Satsuki. While they weren't related by blood, Satsuki had grown very attached to her Naruko-chan, and Naruko had come to see Satsuki as a sister she could truly talk to. Her own family life was a bit more complicated. Her siblings, Natsuki and Nawaki, were often the center of attention because of the special energy they carried. Their parents, Minato and Kushina, spent nearly all their time helping them manage their unique abilities. During family outings, the conversation always revolved around what the other 3 children needed: new running shoes, special toys, or even their favorite snacks. They often forgot that Naruko had her own interests. For instance, they didn't even realize that ramen was actually one of her least favorite meals. Naruko got out of bed with a yawn and dressed in her favorite bright outfit. Since it was her day off from her personal studies, she headed downstairs at 9 a.m., expecting the house to be empty as her family usually left early for morning practice. As she reached the kitchen, she saw her father, Minato. He was often busy at the Hokage Tower or training her siblings, so they rarely had a chance to just chat. Her mother, Kushina, was there too. Kushina was very spirited and often reminded Naruko to be more like her siblings, which used to hurt Naruko's feelings, but she had learned to stay positive and focus on her own path. Then there was Nawaki. He had become a bit boastful because of all the extra attention he received from his parents and his mentor, Tsunade. He often acted as though he was the most important person in the room. Narumi was similar. She liked to brag about her special training and often viewed Naruko as someone who wasn't as capable because she wasn't part of the official family lessons yet. Natsuki was the most mysterious. She usually acted very serious and distant, though Naruko sometimes saw a glimmer of kindness in her eyes. "Oh, Naruko? You're usually out with your friends by now," Kushina said, noticing her daughter entering the room. The whole family was by the door, ready to head to the training fields. Naruko walked toward the refrigerator. "I didn't have any plans this morning, so I thought I'd take it slow." Kushina looked at her daughter and felt a flicker of hope. "Naruko? Why don't you join us for our outdoor activities today? The room went silent. Everyone was surprised. "Are you sure, Kushina?" Minato asked gently. "Naruko hasn't practiced with us before, and we have to stay focused on the others." Kushina nodded. "I think it would be nice for her to see what a friendly practice match looks like before she starts the academy in 6 months. Naruko felt a spark of determination. Her family didn't know that she had been practicing diligently on her own and had even learned some impressive moves while visiting her friends. "Okay," Minato agreed. "How about a friendly match between Naruko and Natsuki?" Natsuki's face lit up with a rare, genuine smile. She was excited to finally share a hobby with her sister. Naruko, realizing there was no backing out, took a deep breath and agreed. The friendly match. They arrived at a wide, grassy clearing near the edge of the compound. Naruko and Natsuki stood in the center, facing each other with bright spirits, while the rest of the family watched from the shade of a large oak tree. "This will be a simple match of movement and balance," Minato announced. "No special energy blasts or tricks. We stop when I say, or when someone needs a break. Ready?" Both girls nodded. "Ni-san," Natsuki said, calling her sister by an affectionate term. "I want to show you how much I've learned. I hope you're ready." Naruko smiled confidently. "I'm ready when you are. Begin." Natsuki moved forward with impressive speed, wanting to show off her coordination. She reached out to tag Naruko's shoulder, but Naruko was light on her feet. With a graceful pivot, Naruko stepped to the side, letting Natsuki pass by. As Natsuki tried to turn around, Naruko used a clever footwork maneuver to unbalance her sister, causing Natsuki to sit down softly on the grass. Naruko didn't stop there. She showed a cartwheel-like kick that landed harmlessly but impressively near Natsuki, demonstrating her control. Natsuki scrambled back up, her eyes wide with surprise. She hadn't realized Naruko was so fast. She rushed forward again, trying a more complex series of movements. She swung her arm in a wide arc, but Naruko ducked expertly. Naruko then moved in close, tapping Natsuki lightly on the shoulder before spinning away with a cheerful laugh. The family watched in stunned silence. Naruko was moving with a grace and skill they had never seen before. She wasn't just keeping up, she was leading the rhythm of the match. Naruko sat on the lush green grass of the village park, her bright blue eyes sparkling with excitement. She was a cheerful girl with golden hair tied into 2 bouncy pigtails, and she wore a vibrant orange jacket that matched her sunny personality. Today was a special day because she was practicing her favorite hobby, creating beautiful, shimmering bubbles made of light. In this peaceful village, everyone supported one another. Naruko lived with her kind mentor, Master Jiraiya, who taught her that the greatest strength a person could have was a warm heart and a helping hand. "Watch this," Naruko giggled, waving a small wooden wand through the air. Instead of regular soap bubbles, a trail of glowing, golden spheres floated upward. They didn't pop, instead, they drifted toward the playground where a group of younger children were playing. When the children touched the bubbles, the spheres burst into a harmless shower of colorful glitter and the faint scent of cinnamon rolls. The park was filled with the sound of happy laughter. Naruko's friend, a quiet boy named Hinata, walked over with a gentle smile. She had been feeling a little lonely earlier because she wanted to make the biggest glow bubble the village had ever seen, but it was hard to do alone. "Do you want some help, Naruko?" Hinata asked softly. "I would love some." Naruko replied, her pigtails swishing as she nodded. Together, they held hands and focused on a feeling of pure happiness. In the center of the clearing, a magnificent, giant bubble began to form. It shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow, violet, emerald, and sapphire. As it grew, it reflected the smiling faces of the villagers passing by. The giant bubble rose slowly into the sky, casting a soft, comforting light over the entire neighborhood. It was a symbol of their friendship and the harmony they shared. As the sun began to set, painting the clouds in shades of pink and gold, Naruko felt a deep sense of peace. She knew that as long as she had her friends and her imagination, she could make the world a brighter, kinder place for everyone. "We did it," Naruko whispered, leaning her head against Hinata's shoulder as they watched their creation dance among the stars. It was a perfect, golden evening in the village, and everyone went home that night feeling a little more loved. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the lore and want to see more content like this, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with your fellow fans. Subscribing ensures you never miss an update as we continue exploring these stories together. Until next time, keep chasing your ninja way. Regards. 6 Path Weeb.